Okay, today we are going to do our next lesson within our fractions unit. So the goal for today is we finished looking at multiplying and dividing fractions, which really just focused on multiplying across the top. So if you can remember multiplying, we have a fraction, 3/4 times 2/5. All we're doing is we're literally just multiplying across to find the new product, right? So, and if we're dividing, we talked about, if we have 4/5 divided by 1/2, all we're really doing is we're flipping everything after the first fraction and then again multiplying across. So we're going to get 8/5. With addition, and when we get to its subtraction, it's going to work a little bit differently. It's less about multiplying straight across, and it's more about finding common denominators. Okay, so if we can take our steps through this whole process, we'll start with this. Let's say I have the fraction 3/6 plus 2/3, and I know that 3/6 could be reduced even further, but for the sake of right now, we're just going to say this. So when adding, this first step is we need to find a common denominator. Okay. See if it fits on this page. Okay, so if I go back to this, I got to find a common denominator. What does 6 and 3, what's the lowest? Okay, I'm going to just change this. I'm going to just write lowest common denominator for you so you don't have to worry about simplifying later on. So what is the lowest number that both 6 and 3 will go into? Well, in this case, it's pretty simple. We know that 6 goes into 6 and 3 goes into 6. Okay, so to find the lowest common denominator, I would go up by this and see if the other one, go up by the 6 and see if the 3 fits into it. So 6, first one is, yep, 3 goes into it. So the next step is to write both denominators. So I'm going to write both denominators. Okay, I'm going to write 1 is 6 plus the denominator of 6. Okay. In step 3, you have to figure out how to make the numerators, maybe that's the wrong wording of it. I'm just trying to figure out the best way. I'm going to go a little bit older school, due to the numerator, what you have done to the denominator. Okay, I know it's not the best English, but I think when I explain it, we'll kind of understand. So how did I get from 6 to 6? I didn't do anything. So if I didn't do anything here, I'm not doing anything to the numerator either. So I'm going to rewrite the numerator as 3. Okay? But here, how did I get from 3 to 6? I multiplied by 2. So then the numerator is also going to have to be multiplied by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? And that leads us to our next step, which is step 4. Simply add the numerators. So our next line will be, our denominator does not change. Do not add the denominators. It isn't out of 12. No, it's out of 6. And all I'm doing now is adding the numerators. So 3 plus 4 is 7. So my answer is 7/6, but I want to simplify. So my final answer will be 1. 6 goes into 7 once, and I have 1/6 left over. So the key situation here is you want to, at the point where you have the denominators that are matching, you want to pretend that the denominators don't exist anymore. You just want to drop that down, and you only want to focus on adding the numerators. Okay, so this is why I'm telling you, I don't want you to think about multiplication in the situation, right, where you just go across. I want you to be able to see that, you're only focusing on one. Okay, so let's do another one together just so we can kind of talk through this whole situation. Let's say I've got let's say I've got 1/12, and I'm going to be adding 1/2. So step 1, figure out which is the lowest common denominator that both of them will go into. So I've got 12. I want to count up by 12. So 12 goes into 12. Does 2 go into 12? Yeah. So I know that then the next line will have a 12 here and a 12 here. I next ask myself, what did I do to get from this 12 to this 12? I didn't do anything. Okay, so I'm going to carry down this one as well because I'm not doing anything to there. But what did I do to get from this 2 to this 12? Well, I multiplied by 6. So I have to do the exact same thing here. I've got to multiply by 6. 6 times 1 is 6. At the next point, I'm going to just drop down the denominator because it's not changing, right? It's going to stay out of 12. And then all I'm going to do is add up the numerators. 1 plus 6 is 7. I can't reduce it anymore. So 7/12 is my final answer. So that's kind of the basis of what we're looking at. Let's do one more together, and just so we can kind of feel good about it, we're going to talk through the process as we go. So let me just get a board ready. There we go. Let's do this one. Let's do 7/10, so a little bit of a larger number, plus we're going to do 1/6. Okay, so first things first, I've got to look at my denominators. What's the lowest number that they'll both go into? So 10, I'm going to count up by 10. 10, nope, 6 doesn't go into 10. 20, no. 30, yes, okay. So I'm going to make this 30. In this case, this is the first time where we're having to change both denominators. In the previous ones, we haven't changed both denominators. How did I get from 10 to 30? Well, I multiply by 3. So I'm going to multiply this by 3 as well. 7 times 3 is 21. How do I get from 6 to 30? I multiply by 5, right? So if I multiply that by 5, I multiply that by 5, and this is going to become a 5. What do I do next? I keep the 30. Oh, I should probably line that up. I'm going to keep my denominator the same, and I'm going to just add my numerators. 21 plus 5 is 26. I can continue to reduce. 26 divided by 2, or I can divide by 2, so 26 divided by 2 is 13, and 30 divided by 2 is 15. Can't reduce it any more than that. So that's kind of when we're dealing with proper fractions, the steps that you need to take when you're adding proper fractions. Let's go to talking about adding more than 2 fractions. So let's say that I'm given this as my question. 1/3 plus 1/5 plus 1